Two things I want to talk about today. One is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Squad and the Progressives and their opportunity to help bring in Medicare for All by refusing to vote for Nancy Pelosi unless she allows Medicare for All to come on the floor for a vote. 72% of people in the United States want Medicare for All. And so AOC online on Twitter has been making lots and lots of excuses as to why she isn't going to do that. Now, if you've seen her two campaign ads, one when she first started and the stirring music behind that, and she talks about, bringing in Medicare for All for the public. And then the second campaign ad, the same thing, she talks about Medicare for All.
It's time we acknowledge that not all Democrats are the same. That a Democrat who takes corporate money, profits off foreclosure, doesn't live here, doesn't send his kids to our schools, doesn't drink our water or breathe our air, cannot possibly represent us. What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, a federal jobs guarantee, and criminal justice reform. We can do it now. It doesn't take 100 years to do this. It takes political courage. They haven't presented us new problems, but they've set on fire existing ones. But what if these broken systems weren't built to last in the first place? What if a better world is possible? These are systemic problems, and I'm proud to have been fighting for systemic solutions like Medicare for all, a federal jobs guarantee, and the end to mass incarceration. Today is a big day for people who have been left behind. People are coming together in an unprecedented movement.
And she's talked about how, she's analyzed the whole issue in various interviews, some where nobody's paying attention. She'll be very outspoken. But then she calls Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear. So when you see how many excuses AOC comes up with on Twitter just recently, particularly when Jimmy Dore calls her out, or when this particular footballer, and his name escapes me right now, a footballer is actually calling her out on Twitter. And she decides to pay attention to the footballer, but not Jimmy Dore, who she knows already. She's already been on his show, the Jimmy Dore show. So, I don't know. I mean, I find this, I'm not an American citizen, but I find this myself to be sort of, it makes me angry, and I don't even live in the United States. I mean, these people, and I mean any of these progressives who do not do this suggestion that Jimmy Dore has made, which has been retweeted by a lot of people on Twitter, which has been suggested by, various lefty news outlets and not so lefty, to do this, to actually call out Nancy Pelosi by asking her, by telling her that the progressives will not vote for her to be Speaker again if she does not bring Medicare for All onto the floor for a vote. That's been, I think a lot of people have called up their offices, AOC and all those different ones. And I don't think it's going to happen. And that's really, really incredibly awful. And I hope people remember that at the ballot box when AOC is putting out another campaign, another stirring campaign ad, like, saying she's going to, support Medicare for All. And of course, we know that she's never, ever going to do that. She values her career over the lives of millions of people because really in a pandemic, that's what it ends up being. The lives of millions of people. And beyond that, those people are going to suffer too. Every other, Western country has some sort of free healthcare. And this is the largest, this is one of the largest economies in the world, the United States. And here they are, floundering around in a pandemic, pretending that they can't afford something that they absolutely can afford in a sovereign economy. I mean, it's disgraceful. There's not a word to describe how disgusting this is. And, I bet you people will vote for her again. I mean, really, And I've got to be honest and say to you, if she didn't look the way she did, if she didn't look like, if she wasn't very attractive and sweet sounding and all of that, I don't know, would people be still sort of ignoring the fact that she's ignoring these different things and also some of the soft imperialist things that she said? I mean, these people are all over the place. I wonder if she didn't look all sweet and sort of stereotypically attractive and all that kind of thing. Would people really be, letting her go with this? Maybe they would. But I can see people voting for her again. I can. Just like I can see that if Bernie Sanders runs again, and I know he'll be really old then, but he might do it. I don't know. If he runs again in 2024, people will be voting for him again and going along to his rallies and rah rah rah, and it's the revolution and all this BS. I mean, you know that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. What is the quote for fool me 3 times? I don't know. People behave like, they're sort of like there's some sort of like Stockholm syndrome going on here. Is the bar so low now that people will just keep voting for these people who are just... I'm not saying Bernie Sanders is necessarily a careerist, but he has managed to abandon this so-called revolution that he's been starting, that he said he started, twice now, and just left people, sort of in the lurch. He could ask right now, he's got so many millions of people on an email list, he could tell them right now to do a general strike and bring all these awful people to their knees and have some leverage. He abandoned his leverage when he said for everybody to vote for Joe Biden. Why do people even call these people progressive? And what is this ridiculous thing that they keep calling these neoliberals the left, for fuck's sake? What the fuck is that? I see this all the time, referring to these corporatist Democrats or these neoliberals and people who wear pussy hats and stuff but don't seem to care a toss about imperialism. They call them the left. I mean, what kind of a appropriation and fucking distortion of a term is that? We have got to stop doing that, for fuck's sake. Anyway, so that's my thoughts about AOC, and she's not going to do anything. She's not going to do anything. She's making all these really sad excuses that are incredibly disingenuous. And she's never, ever going to do the right thing and help the public get Medicare for all. And you can essentially say about these people that because they refuse to do something, because they're too interested in getting positions in committees and they're too interested in their careers, that they're basically accomplices to mass murder. Because that's what's happening in the United States when you have thousands of people dying every day from COVID. If you have thousands of people dying because they can't get to hospitals, because they can't afford it, they can't afford the ridiculous premiums and all of that, the co-pays and all of this awfulness that goes with the health insurance industry. When you have parents that can't afford to look after their children properly, all of that. When you have long food lines as well, when these people can't fight for a proper funding for, they'll back up like AOC did with the CARES Act, the greatest upward transfer of wealth to the billionaires and corporations, $5 trillion or something. But here they are floundering around, and now Pelosi is using these people like a political football, and now isn't even going to give them what Trump was going to give them. Refused to give what Trump was going to give them, and Trump was only doing it because of politics. He was playing politics too. Neither of these people care about the people. These people are disgusting. Seriously, if this was a few centuries ago, it'd be guillotines and pitchforks right now. Guillotines and pitchforks. Seriously, and I wonder what will it take for the American public to rise up against these people. I'm not for violence because I don't think that solves anything. It's addictive, as well as you end up with violent people again in power. You end up with bullies in power. But there are ways of leveraging against these awful corporatists, this kleptocracy. There are ways to make these people do what you want, and it usually involves hitting the hip pocket. That's how you get these people to do what you want them to do. Protesting and all of that, it's all very well and good. It's good as an educational thing for the public, but it's not actually, they don't give a toss what people are protesting about. And that's why AOC and the squad and all those people that call themselves progressive, they have leverage against Nancy Pelosi by saying, we're not going to vote for you as Speaker unless you bring Medicare for all on the floor for a vote. Since the people want it, most people in the United States want Medicare for all, single-payer health care. So unless you do that, Nancy, then you don't get our vote. You're not Speaker again. They could do that before January. And they're not going to. What a disgrace that is. What an absolute disgrace. They are accomplices to mass murder, these people. But people need to hit them in the pocket. They need to hit this dreadful capitalist death machine in the pocket and start boycotting and start striking, general strikes and non-violent civil disobedience. I think the only way these people, these corporatist politicians, these careerists like AOC, are going to do the right thing, is when it gets so scary for them because people get so desperate and these food lines turn into riots that are really scary. We're talking about major riots by millions and millions and millions of people. And these people are too stupid to realize that if they don't do the right thing by the public, it is going to get to the guillotine stage. Because once people have nothing to live for, when they're desperate and they have nothing to lose, that's when it'll get really scary.